Welcome to another exciting episode of TechUOut. My name's Emmanuel. With me is Tony, and we have a special guest. Randy, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here at PTCI and what we're talking about.
I can. I'm Randy Jacobs. I'm Business Solutions Specialist for PTCI. What does that mean? My focus is on business customers, calling on them outside the office where they have issues regarding cell phones, internet, that sort of thing. So I serve that entity.
Okay.
All right, so today you're going to talk about managed services, and one of the things that a lot of people want to know is what is our managed services?
For us, PTCI, managed services is what I like to refer to as a peace of mind in a box. And so it's really a virtual firewall that protects your private computers and your business network, if that's the way you want it.
Mm-hmm.
So by blocking and removing malware, the attack, software attack version of cyber criminals, it's what they use to infect your computers. So, so what we're blocking is unauthorized access, denying and blocking, and it's many of that malware has a number of adages underneath it, and so it's spyware and adware and some other things, pop-ups. You've all seen them on your computers before.
Oh yeah.
So additionally, the firewall disables stuff like BitTorrent. And BitTorrent's a software that's free on the internet that can be downloaded that enables you to break the way that either music or movies is either downloaded or just being able to view it as a feature. So, but when you've downloaded the BitTorrent and you've downloaded a movie and then you've taken possession of it, then it's really against the law. And they're tracking that, and we will track it, and you will get a letter from us that says there's an infringement on the content owner.
Right.
So we have that set up in there as well. And then for businesses that like or can take credit cards, debit cards, it is a requirement from the company that most companies that authorize credit cards. It's a compliance issue, so they want you to be compliant. They require you to have a firewall set up, and that's really kind of what this is a firewall. It's a router and a firewall, and then the firewall satisfies that point of that. And then the managed services also enables you to have a secure connection for a login for your staff, and then a login for your customers if you wish. That's an important thing. The most important thing about managed services for us and for you is that it's installed by us, it's maintained by us, serviced by us, taken care of and monitored by us, by PTCI. And so that's there's no third party involved in that. So it's all contained with us.
Okay. Right, and I guess that, on that point, you could really say that not all firewalls are created equal, for sure.
Well, firewalls come in a variety of intensity, I guess, is what you'd say. And somebody that, you buy a router at Walmart, and you're going to get a basic router, and it's going to have a firewall in it, and then you've got to know how to configure that firewall. And most of us don't. We're just bypassing that issue because we really are not buying it for that. And so you really have to know the parameters of that. So there's all kinds of instructions to do that, but we just don't do it. And so what we're hoping on is that the computer system that we have, most are loaded with or come with Norton or McAfee. And so PTCI also offers TechUOut IT Plus, which is like those, and those are called endpoint security for your PC. So, but ours is also a router. So you've got to have a software on your computer system through McAfee or TechUOut IT, and then you've got to have a router. That you're updating the firmware, keeping all the operating system on it, and you've got to kind of get into it and know how to operate it. But our system is combined, so it's the firewall and the router, and we take care of all that. And so eventually your router is going to mess up, and who are you going to call?
Yeah.
With us, if the router messes up, that's who you call us. So there's kind of a large difference between other services and the intensity of the firewall. We can turn these firewalls up to a point where nothing can get through if that's what you wish, or everything can get through. And mostly your home unit firewall is going to have some of that in it, but a lot of it's just going to be open up. So.
I see. All right, so we've talked a little bit about what managed services are, and so as far as what are they not, like what do they not do? So there's no confusion on that.
That's a good question, because initially people who inquire about us are looking for kind of something to help them out with their computers.
Right.
Most people, and it's not their fault, don't know much about how the operation of the computer itself, the software and hardware. They know how to operate the computer, turn it on, turn it off, print things, and go to their software and access files. But when something goes wrong, they don't know how to do it. So what this is not a repair shop for hardware and software. This is specifically a firewall and a router, and it is really a protection point from malware entering the entry point of your system. So other software that would be available on that's sold to you is called Endpoint, and it protects it. Once the malware is present, then it takes care of it. But we're blocking it on the front, so you don't have to. But you really need both. So we don't configure laptops. We don't set up printers. We don't mess with your email. That's all a part of what an IT person would do for you. So this is really just the router and the firewall.
Right, so kind of, preventive measures.
Yes, it's all preventive, and that's where most occurrences are going to come to you at the entry point. But like all great walls, things slip by.
Right.
And when things slip by, that part of that is, for an example, is email. We're not going to block your email, but with email delivery, sometimes, often through malware can be attached to a link or a attachment in the email. So you don't want us to block the email, but unless we block the email, we can't block the other things. And so that's the types of things that slip through. And that's what your other software, your Secure at IT Plus, that sort of thing would take care of. So that's why it's important that you have both. So it's the functionality of our firewall and router is really where our focus is, and not on your peripherals or hardware, your software, your devices.
Right. So it's not like you can just get this service and then feel like you can get on LimeWire and everything else on the internet that has viruses and
Right.
and feel like nothing's going to happen, especially if you're opening emails from some Saudi prince or something like that.
Right. I'm from Burma, and I've got $8 million coming to me from an aunt, and if you'll just open up a bank account now. That's your participation in that sort of thing, and that's what they're hoping on today. They still have adware and spyware that sort of sneaks by and will try to invade you a bit, but the most successful ones are actually with your participation going, yes, that's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to allow that to be downloaded, and all of a sudden it's too late.
So basically you're telling me, like with the emails and stuff, you get an email, and this is for me and for our viewers, don't click on everything.
Right.
Make sure you know who's sending you email. You can always kind of hover above the link and kind of see it at the bottom. But if you don't know who sent the email, be cautious, because that's one way the bad guys get into our networks is through emails, through phishing emails, and
Yes.
just seeing who bites on that bait.
Yes. It's mostly email which causes the most damage today, is because it takes an active participation from the recipient of that email, and so and they're really tricky today, and they can. I've been getting several myself from Amazon, thinking it's Amazon, and you just you do some checking out. If it's an Amazon address, but if it's things that you don't relate to, you don't expecting anything in the email, it has a sense of urgency. Click here, touch this. Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Delete it, and don't worry about it. If it's that important, then somebody will call you, or they'll send you another one, and that you get time to check out the legitimacy of it. So, that's where the seriousness is today, is in the email. So.
Now, excluding, when you actually participate in malware, through emails and such, it does help protect you from some forms of malware, though.
Well, yes, it's going to catch a lot of that open front stuff that's called entry. It would be the entry point. So anything that it detects, it'll identify it, and it will either quarantine it and then look at it later, and it may ask you on certain softwares if you want to get rid of that or not, if this is okay, if it's not okay, and it acts to some of your judgment. But on the front end, it's just going to identify it, and it's going to get rid of it. It's not going to mess with it. It's not going to hold it over here. Most of the time, the software is not going to hold it for you and say get rid of it. It's just going to go ahead and do it.
Right.
Based on the parameters that you and the tech set up when you buy managed services. So, you may want your employees to have access to Facebook, but you do not want them to be shopping online with Amazon and downloading Netflix, and so you can actually block that type of activity. But within all of that today is all of these hidden glitches that you could be opening up, and so it's up to you and the tech when it's installed to really be conscious about the type of things that you want your employees to be accessing across the internet. You can screw it down, or you can open it up a little bit. So,
I see. And so basically, some people are going to say, well, I already have an antivirus, but this isn't quite the same thing.
Well, an antivirus would be like most people would associate would be Norton or McAfee, and it's going to cover your computer, and you have a license for that from them, and then it runs for a year or 2 years, whatever your deal is, and then you renew it. And it's going to catch all that stuff once it's on your system, but it's already, keep in mind, it's already on your system now.
Right.
And it's still just the software, which you have to renew, and then you still have to have a router. Okay, so if you're having a Wi-Fi, an open Wi-Fi for your employees or guests, you still got to have a router, and you still got to have all those devices. But most of the time, your software with McAfee or Norton are not going to cover multiple devices. They're going to cover your PC or one other PC. But with managed services, it's designed so it is a router with a firewall, and it's designed to cover all of your users on there. It's large enough and scalable enough, so even if you're adding employees, it is probably large enough that we can incorporate new employees on there. So, you're really not having to pay a different price all the time just to add people onto it. So.
And this is basically, I know they have two tiers on this.
Yes. Managed services comes in 2 tiers. Tier 1 would be up to 15 users. Doesn't mean 15 devices, but it means 15 employees. And then it's $50 per month for that service, which includes the router, a commercial grade router, and the firewall maintenance and monitored system, and any updating and any maintenance that may go on with that. Plus, you also get what they call appliance report, so you know it's working. You can see what sort of incidences are coming across your network on a daily basis and know that they're blocked. Whereas, I don't think you're going to get that on the other system. You're going to get, most of the time on the other system, you're going to get a pop-up that says there's been something detected that's coming across there. What do you want to do with it? I hope I know what to do with it when it gets it, but ours managed services just gets rid of it. So it not going to give you the option to say, I'll decide later. Yeah. Because the infection is at your door. Keep in mind the infection's already on your system at the other end, and so they've detected it. You want to get rid of it? And of course, the answer is yes. Ours just doesn't let it come onto your system. So
you mentioned earlier that we offer, Secure It Plus.
Yes, Secure at IT Plus, yes.
Yeah, and tell me a little bit about that. I mean, that would probably be something that people would want in conjunction with the managed services for extra protection.
Sure. The Secure at IT is not unlike other services that are currently installed on most, whatever computer system you're buying. It's going to cover, it's going to have parental controls. It's going to have automated spyware protection, virus protection, Windows updates. It's going to allow all this to function, and it really is. It's fairly inexpensive on a monthly basis, and so it's something that you need to consider because that is your protection for your devices. The difference is and it's called endpoint protection, and the other is entry point, where our managed firewall is going to protect the things that are coming across at the point of the connection to the firewall. So when our internet connection comes into your system, it's going to go to your router, to your firewall, and that's where everything coming across. So everything that you're browsing for or downloading is coming across our connection, and that's where it's going to be identified right there. And depending on how tight that you have it set up, is how much can come across there. Once it comes across there, then it's going to go across to your PCs and your other laptops and your cell phone devices and printers and your whole entire network. And that's what you need the other system for, Secure at IT for, is to clean that off of your devices once it becomes effective. A firewall can't stop everything, but because of the nature that we've discussed in terms of email, we're not going to block the emails, and sometimes the email is where the infection is. And so together, endpoint, entry point, make a really good, solid system. So Secure at IT Plus is $615 a month, and Managed Services Tier 1 is $50 a month, covers up to 15, and most people they may have more than 15 computers or users, but we have Tier 2, which is $100 a month that covers up to 30, so it's scalable.
I see.
It can be added on. So, but together, we protect the wall around your businesses, and Secure at IT Plus services like that are the wall inside the business. So you need protection on both ends. So from coming in, and once they've got in, protecting them from within. So
multiple layers of protection.
Sure.
And if someone is interested in this, like a business owner, how hard is it to get it all, set up?
Well, if you're interested, please call me. It's 580-468-2316. So I have a series of questions which is really about your business, how you're using it, how many computers that you have, and what issue do you really want to. So most of the calls come in because they're having a router issue. Their router doesn't function as well, and they continue to buy routers, and they are so concerned about security and compliance with credit cards. And so we get a number of reasons why they call us. And then they don't have to buy a router. This is a router for them, and they don't have to worry about configuring the firewall and updating it. And so once we determine that, then any other particular technical questions, maybe you have a VPN that you want to protect, and or a remote office that you want to be able to get into, then that's when I put you in touch with our tech people, and they can further answer those questions. At that point, we can schedule this really quickly and get it installed. It takes about an hour and a half on the average to get it installed. So,
I see. And when you have managed services, you get what's called an appliance report. And can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, the appliance report is a report that I would say, it takes about a week to generate the report. So once you get it installed, allow the week to the week, and so they will begin to mail you a full report. And so it's really the point where you know that it's working. Because before we don't know, we just hope that something's not going to infect my computer. So this particular report is called the appliance report, and it will show you a list of the antivirus, and the incidences that are occurring on your computer. It will actually give you a stated number, And you can see that it's blocking this malware. So it also gives you an idea of how much internet, how much bandwidth that your company is using on a weekly basis. It can show you access to what types of what's being accessed. Is it Netflix or is it some sort of software that you're downloading? Are they on Amazon? Or do they do Facebook or Instagram or any of those other stuff? And you kind of know that maybe those are some productivity issues I need to address, and we maybe need to cut some of that out. But it actually shows you this, and that you get a good idea of what your employees are doing. And it's really not meant to monitor your employees so much, but that is a side benefit of this report. And it shows you your high incidences, and maybe you're spending too much time on something that could be, share files. I think like Dropbox is one of as an open-ended sharing file system. A lot of people use it, but keep in mind that Dropbox is in business also, and they're going to do a lot to protect their other end of it. You need to do your end to protect your stuff, and wouldn't worry about the rest of it. But it shows Dropbox is always a high incident, a risk factor. Yet it probably not really is. But the report's pretty clean, and it shows you where you need to be concerned about. So, and it comes once a week or once a month or however you choose to get it. So.
Right. So I mean, you don't have to take anyone's word for it. You can see for yourself what the system is doing.
Yes.
And I think that's really nice, and some peace of mind. It blocked this many threats, and so kind of what to expect week by week. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the viewers about managed services?
Well, I don't think there's much more we could say about it, except that these cyber criminals and overuse cybersecurity is very ingrained. It's not going away. In fact, it's increasing. The sophistication is increasing because the people like PTCI and hardware is becoming more protective against that. It propels them to become more creative in how they will get into your back pocket eventually. There's a number of ways that they can do that. They can rob your bank account numbers, and they can encrypt your data. They can do a number of things. And so the decision for you to move forward on protecting yourself, either on the entry or at the end point, is not gonna. The criminals aren't going to wait for you. And that's why you at least need to find out additional information. So you can call me at 580-468-2316, and then we can at least talk about it. So they're really not going to wait on you, so we might as well at least get the information and go forward from there. That's the urgency that I would leave with our audience.
Well, if you're interested in managed services, Randy's definitely the guy to talk to. He knows all about it, and maybe you have some more in-depth questions, and he can fill you in. But we sure appreciate you coming on the show, Randy, and that's a lot of really good information.
Well, thank you, and thanks for having me, and maybe I'll be back.
Well, I hope so.
I hope so too. We do appreciate you. Thank you all for watching, and if you have questions, give us a call, give Randy a call. And I'll go ahead and put that number up real quick. There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
Randy Jacobs,
right
name
there.
up in lights.
580-468-2316. Give Randy a shout. We do appreciate you being on the show. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next episode of TechUOut.